We're going to close up this left side first. In your paper pack, you will find this print. Let's take off that trim piece. All right, what we're going to do is we're just going to measure over 7 3/4 inch and cut. Now for these, we're going to cut 2 cuts because one's going to go here and one's going to go out here. But on this one, we're going to do a different cut than what we did on the inside. We're going to measure over 5 3/4 inch and cut. We'll measure over again 5 3/4 inch and cut. All right, let's apply glue to this and we will center it right on in there. Glue that down. We'll also, with this one, glue this one down. So let's do it. I've got mine down. Now this one, we don't have anything on. So what we can do is put the right one over the left. And we will start working with this. We're going to need some of your cardstock scraps. So if you're working with the craft colored, you will grab your craft colored. If you're working with white like me, you'll grab some scrap pieces. We're going to grab the tree off of our sticker sheet and we will just stick that right down to paper. Oh, I forgot to put glue underneath that. Darn it. And I keep forgetting. I don't work with a whole lot of stickers, but I do know in the past. And I don't think it's this brand, but it was a brand that I found that the adhesive on the back of these just don't last. We're going to grab the house, the cabin, not a house. And we'll stick that down. Okay. I'm going to move this out of the way. All we're going to do with these is we're going to cut out and around each image, leaving a white border around it. So let's get started. And I'll show you what mine looks like before we start assembling on this when we're done. I have all 3 of my pieces done. And it may be harder for you to see, but because it's white with the cream next to it. But what we're going to do is a little layering here. And the first one, again, it's on the right one that comes over, is we are going to turn this over and we're just going to get the edges coming down the tree. Then along the bottom. Okay, whoops. And we are going to bring this, I would say maybe 1/4 inch from the bottom. And you can leave it to where you have just a little bit of blue over there left to see. So there we go, we get that down. Next is our heart, and our heart is going to overlap and slightly be at an angle. So we're going to want to get the bottom of the heart right there, and we're going to want to put some glue over here. Not on your paper though, because this is our tuck. Okay. And then this is real easy. We're going to bring this, we're going to get the bottom of the cabin and the back. We'll put a little bit of glue right on that. And this will come down to the bottom of our page just about and stick it. So I want to show you my other folio that I did with the craft. And it's just like this. I have my heart positioned a little bit differently on that, but that's okay. But as you can see, when I was doing picture mats, I made one, and you can just slide it right back on in there, just like that, and it works. And it looks good. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to grab we're going to grab our folio. We're going to apply glue to the back, and we are going to place that in between those score lines. And that will fit perfectly for us. I think I got enough glue on there. And I'm going to place it. I'm watching those score lines for sure. Place it. Now we'll open this all up and we will burnish. That looks good. Let's start working on the inside over here. We're in our second paper pack, and you will locate this. Let's take off that trim piece. So we're just going to turn that sideways. We're going to measure over 7 3/4 inch and cut. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure over 5 3/8 inch and cut. We will measure over again 5 3/8 inch and cut. All we're going to do with this is apply glue, and we're going to place it, center it in on those inside fold out pages there. And we'll burnish that really good. Okay, got mine down. It's all burnished. What we're going to look for is our 2 pre-cuts. They are the 4.5 by 8 7/8, the large FO side pockets. And those little squares down at the bottom, we're going to cut all those squares out of both of our pieces, just like we have been on the other pockets. Once you have those little squares done, all we're going to do is turn it over and we're going to fold on those score lines. And then once we fold on those score lines, if you remember, what we'll do is we'll pull in the sides, we'll dab glue down in the bottom corner, then we'll bring these up. So let's get these ready to go. Okay, we have these both assembled. So what we're going to do is we're going to add glue to this, and we're going to place it down on each one of these right over the decorated paper, and the opening's going to be over here. So let's get our glue, and I need to clip that. Again, check to make sure that this is going to go down on this and our opening is over here. We're just going to place it right on over that. And we're going to do the same exact thing on the other side, except for the opening is going to be over here. Perfect. Now what we need to do is get our paper for this. In your reserves, you will find this. It is 12 inches long, and it is 4 1/4 inches this way. We're going to measure over 7 3/4 inch on this and cut. So I have that cut down. I'll turn it. We're going to measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. Let's apply glue, and we will glue that down to this pocket, and we will leave ourselves a white little lip over here so you can tell it's a pocket. On your sticker sheet, you will find this all bundled up. And we're going to apply glue to this, and we're going to stick this down to some white cardstock or craft, whichever you're working with. And we're going to cut around this, leaving a white border. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this over. We're going to leave that alone with the glue, but we want to put some glue over here. And we're just going to bring that right on over here. I'm going to bring it down maybe 1/4 inch. And I am going to press that. And I haven't a clue where, oh, here it is. So that you can still get a photograph or something up underneath if you have a smaller photograph. Or just leave it alone and place your photo. Okay, it's time to get over here. In your reserves, you will find this print. It is about 4 5/8 inch by about 8 inches tall. So the first thing I'd like to do is we'll look at it like this. We'll measure over 7 3/4 inch and cut. So I cut that down. We'll measure over now 3 7/8 inch and cut. Let's apply glue and glue that down. All right, we've got our pockets. Let's grab our last pre-cut, and that is the 4 by 6 1/4. And we're just going to fold on that score line. In your reserves, you will find this print. It's one of the cut-aparts. On the back, it's this. We're going to open this up. The opening's going to be off to the right. We're going to check to see what we need to do to make this fit. So I think what we're going to do is just lay that down, and it's okay side to side, but I'm going to tell you we're going to do a measure to fit. And what that is we're going to place it down, leave it a little bit of a white border, the top and the side over here, and you'll be enough away from that score line, so if you center it in there. So down here I'm just going to make a pencil mark where I need to cut to trim, and then I'm going to trim that on my paper cutter. That should put me at 3 7/8, and it does. So we're going to glue that down. Whoops, I got glue flying everywhere. Let's see, where was I? There we go. Now in your reserves you will find this piece. It's a square. It's about 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to turn it sideways so the cups are sideways. I'm going to measure over 3 7/8 inch and cut. So now I have the correct, so it will fit, and it will fit next to this one nicely. On this now, I'm just going to do a measure to fit. I'm going to place this down. I'm going to make a pencil mark where I need to trim it down so it will fit, and I'm going to cut it. So a measurement for you is about 2 7/8 inch. And we will apply glue. And get that down. Okay, let's close that up. In your reserves, you will find this, and what we're going to do is put this on our paper cutter, and we are going to cut to get this piece out. Okay, so for this piece here, it needs to be 3 7/8. So I'm going to turn it sideways like this. I'll measure over 3 7/8 inch, and I will cut that. It's just a little sliver. Now I'm going to place this down, and that should be a perfect fit, and it is. And we're going to glue that down. Remember, your opening is off to the right. Okay, so we are going to place this right over here, and it's going to be like a little pocket area so you can get something back behind. Now your opening is over here. We're going to turn this over, so now the opening is over here. We are going to put glue over on this side, just one line and along the bottom. Okay? That means there's glue over here, and you can tuck in from this side. And I'm just going to center that right on here, come up maybe about 1/4 inch from the bottom, and I'll place it. And that looks good. All right, so we are doing good. We are almost done here. And I'm just going to turn this over and open it up so it's like this. In your paper pack, you will have another one of these prints. Let's take off that trim piece. Okay, we're going to turn it sideways. We're going to measure over 7 3/4 inch and cut. We're going to do 2 different cuts. Our first one, we're going to measure over 5 3/8 inch and cut. Our next cut is measuring over 5 1/8 inch and cut. We're going to turn these over. So on this side is where the 5 1/8 inch piece goes. And we're going to center it and we're going to glue that down. This is the side that's 5 3/8. We're going to center that and we're going to glue that down. Okay, so we have that. And now we need to get for here. In your second paper pack, because we are pretty much into that, we're going to take, it's our snowman page, we're going to take off that trim piece. We'll turn it sideways, we'll measure over 7 3/4 inch and cut. We're going to do 2 cuts. We're going to measure over 5 1/8 inch and cut. We'll measure over again 5 1/8 inch and cut. Okay, we have 2 of these. We're going to apply glue and we're going to glue that down. Next, this whole piece, we're going to flip it over and we are going to glue this one down. While we have this, we have to get a couple things off of our sticker sheet. The first one is the snowflake and we're going to place that down. The second one is Chill Out. And the third piece is the little snow cap. And we're going to cut out and around, leaving a white border on those. Or a craft border if you're using craft paper. Okay, I have all 3 pieces of mine done. And what we're going to do is turn, you'll have, put it so one of the points are here, one here and here. So we'll flip it over and we're just going to kind of go like that to the side with the glue. And then that side with the glue is going to be right here. So we'll stick it down to the front. We're on our right side panel here. The next one is the little snow cap. And we're just going to place a little bit of glue on the snowflake. And I think you can see that. Bring that up here. Just a little glue right here. And we're just going to place that hat right like this. And Chill Out. Okay, that's going at an angle, so we just need to put a little glue on the bottom of the snowflake. And we'll also put a little over here on the hat. And then we'll just kind of angle it a little. And then that way you can still get something back behind it. Okay? All right, so now let's open, we're done there. We're going to open that up and get for here. In your second paper pack, you should probably merge them now because there's nothing really left to the first one. You'll find this. We're going to take off that trim piece. We'll hold that so the trees are sideways. We'll measure over 7 3/4 inch and cut. We have 2 different cuts to make. Our first one, we're going to measure over, let's do 5 3/8 inch and cut. And then we'll measure over 5 1/8 inch and cut. Okay, the 5 1/8 inch one, I believe that one fits over here. And we're going to have the trees up. And the 5 3/8 inch goes right here. And we'll glue those down and burnish them down. I have mine down. And we are done with panel 3. Let's move on to panel 4. And then we're going to finish up placing paper on the inside spine as well as getting it over here on the outside spine here of this little fold out. All right, panel 4, and to finish this up, we have one pre-cut It is 4 3/8 by 5 1/8, and we called it a picture mat. Okay, this is like totally perfect. In your reserves, you will find this piece. On the back, it's this. This is about 2 3/8 inch by about 8 inches. That's exactly what we need to place right over these magnets, centering it in there. How easy is that? And by the way, the leftover papers that's in your reserves, when I did the other one with the craft paper, that's what I use for my picture mats. Okay, let's center that top and bottom. Make sure that gets... Okay, let's grab this little picture mat. Okay, in your reserves, you will find this strip. It is 12 inches long. And let's just take a look here. If we were to place this down, it will give us just a little bit of a white border. But I would like for us to put this on our paper cutter and just trim off a 1/16 of an inch, just a hair off the side. By doing that, now we should be about 4 1/4 inches wide, and we're just going to place this down so it leaves us a little bit of a white border up here and over here and over here, and we're going to measure to fit by just placing a pencil mark where we need to cut our paper, and we're going to cut it. Before you glue it down, verify that you did a good cut, and if you did, let's glue that down. Let's grab our sticker sheet, and you will find the lantern, and I have that right there. I'm going to place a little bit of glue on this because I'm remembering to do so. I will place that down, and then what I'm going to do is cut out and around it, leaving a little bit of a white border. I have mine cut out, so all we want to do is along the bottom of it, let's just place a little glue. And then we're going to come down to the bottom of this mat without going over the side, and we will place that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add glue to this entire piece. And we're going to glue it down over this, coming over this. And that will help thicken that up even more for when you're opening. And this should fit nicely. Just line it up there and place it. Okay, panel 4 is done. Let's start getting for our inside spine what we need to do. In your reserves, you will find this long 12-inch piece. We're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. So that's what we should have. Measure over 1 1/4 inches and cut. All right, turn this over, and this should fit right in here without getting on your score line. Okay, for this over here, and I'm going to pull this back now that we're ready to go. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same, maybe not. It's not. What we're going to do is we'll measure over 1 1/8 inch and cut. Okay, we're going to apply glue, and then we can get these all poked where they're supposed to be, but this one goes right in between over here. Okay, for over here, we're going to measure over 3/8 and cut. And we're going to apply glue, and we're going to glue that down right there. All right, now if you'd like to add right here, you can do, I think, about 3/8 inch on that too. And you would cut 2 of them. And I'm going to do it with mine. So I'm just going to glue this down right there. that should fit right exactly 8 inches there. And this won't hurt your folio at all by doing this. All right, so I'm going to push this back where it needs to be. That looks good. And let's take a look. I don't think that there's anything else that we need to do, but you should have a nice fit in there with all your stuff and enough room. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I will be back soon with a new tutorial. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you find the content is stuff that you like to see. And it also shows me that you guys are still interested in my crafting and these free tutorials. Happy crafting, everybody. See you real soon.